morning and welcome to Story Hour. I'm tonight's host, Laura Blackwell. My co-host, the marvelous Daniel Marcus, started out Story Hour over 5 years ago. Yes, we've been here every Wednesday for over 5 years. And you know why? Because every time we have two writers reading fantastic stories, and there are that many writers who are fantastic and have fantastic stories to read. In fact, some of them are so fantastic, we have them come back. Like tonight, we have R.J. Joseph back. Now, someone else who is, let's just vary the adjectives a little, awesome, and is coming for the first time here, is Eric Raglin. So those are our two readers tonight. Let's get to it. If you are here on Zoom, feel free to chime in on the text chat. We can be quite lively. Sometimes we are wrapped and don't say anything. It's kind of a dice roll there. If you are on YouTube, enjoy lurking. Everyone should enjoy stories the way they feel most comfortable. Our first reader tonight is Eric Raglin. Eric Raglin is a horror/weird fiction writer, not horror/fiction. That would be a different thing. That's horror, horror and weird fiction writer. His short story collections include Nightmare Yearnings, Extinction Hymns, published by Bridget's Gate Press, Sick, Stories from the Goop Troop, co-authored with Laura Gislason and Shelley Levine, who we had on a few weeks ago, I want to say, and was delightful. Go look up the Shelley Levine. And Lonesome Pyres, published by Off Limits Pulp. He owns Cursed Morsels Press and has edited No Trouble at All, co-edited with Alexis DeBon, which personally, is one of my favorite anthologies of the last few years, and I really recommend you look it up. Bitter Apples, Shredded, a sports and fitness body horror anthology, and Antifa Splatterpunk. Doesn't that sound cathartic? You can find Eric on Blue Sky and Instagram at Eric Raglin 1992. Eric, welcome.
I'm going to be reading a piece from my unfortunately now out of print collection, Lonesome Pyres. There are like a few copies floating on Amazon. If you want to grab it, you can do that, but it will come back at some point, I'm sure. Somehow, I'll make it happen. This is a piece that I wrote after leaving the teaching profession. I was a high school teacher for 6 years, and this piece offered me some immense catharsis. So we will go ahead and start there. This piece is called The Chalk Martyrs. A curl of paint hangs off the classroom wall. That redhead kid with braces, Elliot, pulls at it gently, as if he could strip the whole room in one go, peel it like an orange. He flashes a shit-eating metallic grin, daring me to give him detention, or maybe just attention. Unless you want to repaint the room, you better cut that out, I say. Do I need to move you? He releases the paint and whispers something to the girl beside him. They look at me and laugh. All right, move, I say, pointing to an empty desk at the front of the room. The boy groans, slides his backpack across the floor, and shuffles to his new seat. Day one at this school, and I'm working to build my reputation as the teacher who takes no shit and won't smile until Christmas. The kids will learn to respect me, and God willing, they'll learn to read too. That paint is going to be a problem, though. Doesn't matter who sits there, some bored kid whose phone ran out of battery will pick at that curl and make a goddamn mess. I doubt we'll get a fresh coat anytime soon, what with this classroom reeking of budget cuts. The freshman English textbooks have loose binding and not a single story published after 1980. The desks are one "Oh Captain, my Captain" moment away from collapsing, and the whiteboard is sharpied with a decade of vulgar graffiti that no custodian could scrub off. This isn't the well-funded Eastwood High I taught at last year. This is a national embarrassment. The last bell of the day rings, and my students rush out of the room. Get a parent signature on that syllabus and bring it back tomorrow, I call after them. Maybe two students hear me. When they're gone, I step into the hallway and savor the sound of the school emptying. I glaze over with relief and exhaustion. Kel, how'd your first day go? A cheery voice across the hall. It's Carolyn Post, the other sophomore English teacher. She smiles and walks toward me with a slight limp. I'm about to respond, but I stop dead when I see her classroom through the wide open door. It's like a portal to another world, or at least another school, one with a budget still in the green. Fresh paint, a top of the line short throw projector, rows of adjustable standing desks, and a collection of textbooks without so much as a scuff on their spines. Is this a seniority thing? Carolyn catches me staring. It's nice, isn't it? She says. Had to give up a lot, but it was worth it. Anything for the kids, right? Jesus Christ, I say. She chuckles. He doesn't get credit this time. Who then? You? On a teacher's salary? I rub my temples, failing to make sense of the math with my English teacher brain. No way she could afford all that unless she lives at school and sleeps on that couch in the teacher's lounge. Probably not even then. You'll learn soon enough, she says with something between a smile and a wince. A shiver runs down my spine, and I consider exploring why, but the clock says it's time to go home. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, I say, closing my classroom door. Leaving early? She asks, and I hate the way she asks it, like she's about to report my answer to Jolene Bennett, our supervising administrator. Leaving at contract time, I say. Work-life boundaries are vital. I learned that the hard way at Eastwood, teaching an extra prep, coaching speech, and grading papers in bed every night until I passed out. For the sake of my sanity, I had to switch schools and get a fresh start. As I walk away from the English wing, Carolyn's eyes tickle the back of my head like lice. While the kids are circling up for small group Macbeth discussions, a desk implodes into a heap of warped metal and splintered particle board. It's Elliot's, and as much as I'm inclined to blame him, you jumped on it, didn't you? Trying to make your friends laugh, right? His wide-eyed expression tells me he's innocent. The desk was a piece of shit. Its time had come, much like Banquo's. Guess I have to share with Aiden, Elliot says, giggling as he wriggles onto his friend's lap. Come to daddy, Aiden says, flicking his tongue and then laughing, like he single-handedly invented comedy. I march toward them with a stern finger raised. Totally inappropriate, and do not sit on. The second desk breaks. Elliot and Aiden are tangled, cackling in the rubble. Out, out, I say, my face hot and voice straining. To the office, now. Half of the kids are laughing, and a couple are yelling at Aiden for being gross. I picture every object in this room crumbling to dust, joining the ruin. How the hell can I teach like this? How can the kids learn? Yes, I'll talk with Carolyn again. Doesn't matter that she gives off creepy cop vibes. I need to know how she got such a nice classroom. After the chaos and referrals and terrible Macbeth discussions, Mr. D, is Lady Macbeth hot? The kids finally leave, and I get my chance to talk with Carolyn. I poke my head into her classroom. She's helping a girl on some writing assignment, but when she sees me, she whispers, Work on that paragraph transition. I'll be right back. Limping and smiling, she joins me in the hall. Didn't think you'd still be here, she says. Isn't it nearly contract time? She doesn't offer a playful wink, just that ceaseless smile, which is so much worse. Look, about that, I say. I'm not lazy. I care about the kids. I do. And I want to know how you manage to, you know, give them what they deserve. Her smile widens even farther, and I swear I hear the corners of her lips stretching, about to tear, a sound like wet, squeaky rubber. I am so glad you asked, she says. But I'm not sure I'm glad. Maybe this is the worst mistake of my life. Let me finish with Louisa first, Carolyn says, and then I'll take you down to the old bomb shelter. Bomb shelter? I ask, and something in her tone makes me want to run away. That's right. Bomb shelter, she says. Boom. Apparently, the school issues every teacher a key to the bomb shelter, as if it's the Cold War all over again. But I haven't received mine yet. In Carolyn's excitement to show me what's down there, she forgets hers. Oh, shoot, she says, slapping her thigh, but her eyes brighten when she sees a hunched back old custodian. Bill, thank God you're here. Any chance you could unlock the shelter for us? Of course, darling, Bill says. The man takes his sweet time finding the key on a ring that must weigh 5 pounds, and he chats up a storm while he searches. I get the feeling he needs someone to talk to. Lonely job it must be, scraping dried gum off desks after most people have left for the day. My grandson, Parker, Bill says, leisurely flipping through the keys. He got himself a baseball scholarship. Would you believe that? Wish I could have gone to college on a baseball scholarship. Oh well, you live and you learn and you mop floors for 40 years. He unleashes a laugh halfway between joy and agony, and I'm unsure whether to join him or cringe. Carolyn closes her eyes, softens her smile, and nods. It's never too late, Bill, she says. All of us are lifelong learners. And some of us are bone tired, Bill replies, laughing again, but it's more of a wheeze this time. Ah, here we go. He pinches a scratched, discolored key and unlocks the door. The crumbled concrete stairs leading down are too narrow, designed for a time when the school housed half the students it does now. Musty black mold rises to greet us. My nose wrinkles, but Bill stares down the passage, seemingly untroubled, impervious after decades spent battling filth. Still want to know, Cal? Carolyn asks. The question is a test, one I plan to pass. I don't answer with words, for fear that I'll cough and look weak. Instead, I take the lead, marching down the ruin of stairs and hoping I don't fall on my face. Carolyn makes a pleased humming sound and follows. Holler when you're done and I'll lock up, Bill says. There's a sadness in his voice, as if Carolyn and I are friends abandoning him for our own little adventure. Poor guy. Left at the end of the staircase, Carolyn says. I reach the bottom and turn. Dim orange bulbs light the corridor, flickering like dying fireflies. In front of me is a massive dirt-floored room. Shelves line the side, filled with rusted cans of food and dusty water jugs. This bomb shelter is a relic, untouched and poorly preserved. With a little care, this place could be a museum, a hands-on learning opportunity for the history students. Watch out for the chasm, Carolyn says, and I'm jolted back to reality. That's when I see it, running through the center of the room, a huge gash in the dirt that plunges to God knows where. I imagine its jaws widening and devouring the school. You ready to know the truth? Carolyn asks. Sure, I say, but I have no idea where this is going. What am I looking at here? Come. She walks toward the chasm and sits at its edge, too close for comfort. My palms are sweating, but I join her, giving myself an extra foot of space. The dirt feels damp and cold against my ass. So, what's the deal then? I ask. I don't get it. Carolyn lifts her left foot and works to remove her glossy cream-colored wedge. I peek over the edge, hoping there's water in the chasm, a hot spring bubbling to the surface to relax our feet at the end of the day. Of course, it's a stupid, wishful thought. The chasm is dark all the way down, and how far that is, I have no way of knowing. A pop catches my attention. Carolyn pulling off her shoe. Her pinky toe is missing. No, not just missing, cleaved. Stuck to the exposed meat is a cotton ball, pink and red and yellow with drainage. The sour sludge of a half-digested protein bar rises in my throat. Kel, don't run, Carolyn says. I'm okay, really. And the students are more than okay. You saw what they have now. This is sick. I say, why are you doing this? For the kids, of course. All they need is a little help from, well, she nods toward the chasm. Its darkness seems to spill over, stretching toward my own toes. I scoot back. The illusion evaporates. Kel, Carolyn says, I gave one small thing to them, and they gave the children everything. Them? I ask, but I don't want to know. Never have I wanted an answer less. Another woman's voice down the corridor. Carolyn, is that you? And Kel? I whip around, wide-eyed as a scared puppy, and there's Admin Jolene, silhouetted in the dim light. She pulls down her glasses and gets a good look at us. I swear we're about to get reprimanded for whatever sick shit this is, but no. She smiles. Thanks for showing Kel the ropes, Carolyn, she says. Another chalk martyr will do us good, especially after the Miss Robbins incident. Kel, I'll put a key in your mailbox so you can come down here whenever you're... Excuse me, I say, and that protein bar is coming up. Puke reaches my tongue, and I'm running away from Carolyn and past Jolene, stumbling up those unstable stairs. I pass Bill on my way out, and he gives me a howdy. But I don't have the time to respond. Getting the hell out is the only thing that matters. Carolyn isn't the only one who's given part of herself to them, whoever the hell they are. I don't have hard proof, but I teach my students to make educated guesses based on available information, and I'm damn good at making them myself. The evidence is there every time I step into the teacher's lounge. Just like Carolyn, Britt Hubbard, one of the art teachers, walks with a limp. She looks too young to have one, young enough to be mistaken for one of the students. And I'm sure if she took off her heels, one of her piggies would already be off the market. Then there's the gym teacher, May Foltz, with her missing ear. The scar tissue is red, inflamed, and ugly, more DIY than surgical. Why she chose to remove such a visible part of her body is a mystery to me, but maybe that's the point, to display her sacrifice proudly, a medal of ruined cartilage. The worst is Al Sands, the history teacher with an eye patch. I can only hope it's a prop for some lesson he's giving about the age of sail, but my gut tells me there's a sunken pit behind that black fabric. Whether he's extracted the eye himself or with another teacher's help, I would rather not know. In the lounge, I stand by the microwave, waiting for last night's enchiladas to heat up. The mutilated teachers stare at me from across the room, eating their cashews and sipping their cokes and waiting for me to join their ranks. Carolyn probably told them all about me running out on her, but I'm glad I did. I don't need to martyr myself for these kids. They can sit in their collapsing desks, reading textbooks printed before the collapse of the Soviet Union, and they can peel paint off the wall when they zone out during lectures. That fucking paint. Nope. There are some things I can't ignore. Maybe these teachers are right. We can't teach like this, and the kids can't learn. But there has to be a bloodless solution. I swear to God, I'll find it. Every class copy of Fahrenheit 451 has pages missing. Elliot asks if someone ripped them out and burned them. I know he's being a shit, but it means he's paying attention to the book, or what's left of it. I feel proud. When one student reaches a missing page, another student loans their copy with that section intact. This is how we operate until we reach pages 243 to 244. We're nearly at the end, but somehow those pages are missing from every single copy, even my teacher's edition. Can't we just Spark Notes it? Aiden groans. Spark Notes? Elliot says. Get it? Like burning a book? And how did Elliot, of all students, become this kid? I never saw it coming. Shut the hell up, dude, Aiden says, then slams his open book face down, cracking its already alien spine. Absolutely none of that, I say. Aiden, what did we talk about before? Yeah, he says. Sorry. He lays his head on his desk. When I look around the room, he isn't the only one with his head down. These students are exhausted, defeated, sick of piecing together a book from 25 fragmented copies. How can anyone, except Elliot evidently, learn like this? I think back to the bomb shelter, to the chasm, to them. I'm not ready to give myself up, but their call is growing stronger. Opportunity strikes, sudden and terrible. It's that 1 in a million night where I'm somehow the last teacher in the building, putting off a month's worth of grading until the day before parent-teacher conferences will do that. The last thing I want after reading 100 shitty Of Mice and Men papers, and only a half dozen decent ones, is to talk to anyone. But just my luck. There's Bill the custodian between me and the school exit. I could take the long way and go out a different door, but it'd be obvious. Don't want to hurt the guy's feelings. Cal, he says, grinning. Without looking down, he folds a cafeteria table in half and pushes it against the wall. 40 years in this job, and he could do it blindfolded. Listen, did I tell you my grandson got noticed by some minor league coach? I know it's not major, but heck, you got to start somewhere. Well, tell your grandson congrats, I say, zipping my jacket and inching toward the exit. No guarantee Bill will take the hint. Guys this lonely generally don't, or they choose not to. Yeah, I'm darn proud of the boy, he says, moving to the next table, still not looking down. I like to give myself a little credit. What with all the catch we played when he was... The second he folds the cafeteria table, he stops. At first, I think he's just done talking, and a wave of relief passes over me. But then I see his face go white and his hand go red. The man gasps and clutches his wound. His pinky finger is gone, snapped off in the table's jaws, and the stump of flesh gushes all over the sleeve of his blue button-up. Cock-sucking motherfucker, he screams. Howling, he kicks the floor like an enraged bull and, without realizing it, sends his missing finger flying. The digit skitters and lands beneath a wheeled garbage bin. I'm frozen for only a moment before I realize what's happened and what I have to do. I whip out my phone, dial 911, tell them the man in front of me is bleeding the fuck out. I don't know if that's true, but from the way Bill is moaning, he needs a medic fast. I hang up, rip off my jacket, and tell him to clamp it over the wound. He does so, whimpering. Flecks of spit collect at the corners of his mouth, and the plan is already coming to me. A plan that is every kind of awful. Where'd the finger go, Bill? I ask, plain dumb. The question catches in my throat, and God, I hate lying like this. Did you see where it landed? Wide-eyed and pale, Bill scans the floor, looking like he might tip over at any moment. I, I don't see. He starts, and I rush over to steady him. Don't worry about it, I say. We'll find it. Just keep clamping down on the wound until you arrive. I'll do some searching, okay? He nods in a way that tells me his pain has overridden his capacity to understand words. I grab him a plastic cafeteria chair and he plops down into it. Sirens outside. Help will be here any moment. I know what I have to do. I eye the wheeled garbage bin. It's an okay hiding spot, but the medics will still be able to find the finger here. There's a vent beside the bin. I check on Bill. His head is lolling and his eyes are squinted in agony. He's not looking at me. I run for the bin and dive like I'm a baseball star, sliding into home plate. Baseball. He'll still be able to play catch with these fingers, right? There it is, among the fallen French fries and lost pencils, Bill's pinky. The medics are pounding on the exit door. They don't have a key, and I'm supposed to let them in. If I were a good man, I'd greet them with the missing finger in hand, but tonight I am not a good man. I'm a good teacher, one who goes above and beyond for his students. I slip the pinky through the vent grate. The medics won't find it there. After they've given up and left, it will be mine. I normally pull into the parking lot 15 minutes before school starts, but today I arrive at the crack of dawn. Carolyn drives up a few seconds after me. First and last time that'll happen. And I can't wait to talk. I'm smiling and sweating and standing right outside her driver's side door. I probably look like I've got the hots for her, but no, I'm just excited to say that I've joined the Chalk Martyrs to witness how my classroom has transformed overnight. She opens her car door and stands, wincing at the pressure on her mutilated foot. When she sees me grinning, she smirks. You joined the club, didn't you? I stride toward her with newfound confidence. The cult, more like it, I say, and my neck burns. Why did I say that? Cults do fucked up shit. I did fucked up shit. I can't dwell on what's already done. Anyway, yeah, I'm pumped to see what. Karen looks me up and down, as if she's a factory worker doing a quality control inspection. I know what she's searching for, what she's going to ask, but shit, she'll never believe the story I'd prepared about cutting off my big toe. Not when I just swaggered up to her, limp-free and cocky. I need to come up with something else, and quick. You only need one kidney, right? I say. My mouth goes dry. I've overplayed my hand, haven't I? If I ripped out my own kidney last night, I wouldn't be here this morning. Or no, maybe I would, because I'm a good teacher, a committed teacher, one who works through the pain to serve the kids. I straighten my back and feign a wince. Gotta sell the story. Carolyn's eyes go wide. When the initial shock fades, she claps her hand over mine and squeezes. It's been so long since we last had a teacher like you, she says. I'll admit, I didn't think you had the drive, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. She smiles, shakes her head, and chuckles. Let's go see what they brought you. My classroom is empty. Everything gone, save for the dust bunnies and gray discs of gum dried to the floor and that fucking curl of paint hanging off the wall. The dust and gum would be gone too if Bill had been here to clean last night, but of course, his shift came to a sudden end. Bill. Fuck. I feel like crying or fleeing or putting a gun in my mouth. I feel like cutting off my own finger and going to the hospital and donating it to Bill, a digit not yet racked with arthritic pain. Liar, Carolyn says. I jump, half because I'd forgotten she was here, and half because her voice is low and seething and full of bad omens. I don't know what you did, she continues, but you never, and I mean never, pissed them off. This is Miss Robbins all over again. What? I ask, even though I heard her right the first time. My question comes out all nasal, like I'm about to sob, and here they come, the ugly, choking tears. Leave now, Carolyn says, if you want to live. I obey and run down the hallway toward the exit. Maybe it's my imagination, but I feel their eyes on me, glaring through the gaps in ventilation grates and lockers, plotting my death. Something skitters across the marble floor behind me, and as much as I want to know what they look like, I don't dare turn around. When I reach the parking lot, I'm panting and my throat tastes like blood. It's no safer out here. My prickly neck still senses them lurking atop the roof and behind the staff bike rack. They'll follow me wherever I run. I wonder if Miss Robbins, whoever she was, tried to escape this same way. I get to my car and scramble for the key. Other teachers are pulling up, and maybe they think I forgot something at home, my lunch or my laptop or a fat stack of graded papers, but I can tell they know the truth. They know I've never been a chalk martyr and never will, that I've never known sacrifice, and my students have never gotten the education they deserve. The true chalk martyrs know I'm being hunted, and they are glad for it. Jumping into my car, I screech out of the parking lot and don't look back. This is it. My teaching days are over. Everything is over. Thank you.
That was distressingly real.
Yes, grim hilarity, I would call it.
Yes, but just I do feel like society sort of demands that of teachers.
Mhm.
You know, that
Yeah.
oh, you don't really need a living wage or anything. You don't mind bringing in your own paper, right?
It-
Because you do it because you care about
and shut up, you get
kids.
summers off.
Right, right. You don't get paid for those, but it's okay.
That was awesome, Eric. Thank you.
Yes, that was a
Really,
good
I
story
love
arc.
that one a lot, and I hope if there are any teachers listening tonight that it was cathartic for you too.
And also, frankly, I feel like a lot of the same things are asked of parents, particularly mothers. So there was some resonance there as well. So thank you. Thank you very much, Eric. I really enjoyed that. It is our way, it's story hour, to just take a break between the two stories and let that first story sink in. Maybe think about any of your organs or body parts you don't necessarily need for anything. Nah, keeping them all. Take a deep breath. And we're ready for another story. Everyone, that was Eric Raglin. And our next reader tonight is returning champion. Well, I mean, they're all champions, right? We're not pitting them against each other. Is returning Marvel, Rhonda Jackson Garcia, who we call RJ Joseph. An award-winning Bram Stoker Award nominated, Shirley Jackson Award nominated, and Texas-based academic and creative writer, professor, and editor. Her writing and speaking presentations regularly focus on the intersections of gender and race in the horror and romance genres and popular culture. I think there's quite a lot to explore there. Am I right? Yeah, there's quite a lot. She has had works published in various applauded venues, including 2 fiction anthologies of Black female horror writers, Sycorax's Daughters and Black Magic Women, as well as the 2020 Halloween issue of Southwest Review and the streaming of Hill House, Essays on the Haunting Netflix series. You know, I think that maybe I didn't pull the very most recent because I know that you also have your own collection, not just an anthology with someone else, but your own collection. And that's Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Haunted. No,
Hell hath no sorrow.
Sorrow like a Woman Haunted. That's
yeah,
right.
that's really good.
Okay, I was close. So I apologize for not having quite the right bio. She also edits the novella line, The Selected Papers for the Study of Anomalous Phenomena for Raw Dog Screaming Press. And I think that means that you're behind Eden Royce's Hollow Tongue?
Yeah, yes, that's one of ours. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes, that was on the Stoker ballot, and that is a very freaky,
Mhm.
very sad,
Yes.
really worth a read. But mm, have some something cheerful lined up after it. Ooh. So she occasionally peeks out online through social media from R. Jackson Joseph or at rhondajacksonjoseph.com. Rhonda, welcome back.
Hi, thank you, Laura. I'm so glad to be back. So I really appreciate you all having me again. So I love to go second because I love to hear the artistry that goes into these stories, but then I'm going, why did I go second, right? So here we go. This is one of the stories in Hell Hath No Sorrow, Like a Woman Haunted. I do feel that I should give a content warning for off-screen sexual assault. I will only love you better after death. I loved her in ways I had just begun to love myself, wholeheartedly, without hesitation or reservation, absent of judgment and shame, with my whole soul. The first time she smiled at me, I thought I would surely explode at the way her warmth ran through me. She was a big, beautiful, sturdy girl, and I never tired of watching the way her dark, muscled arms rippled in the scorching sun as she chopped away at the weeds in the plantation yard. Massa put her to hard physical work like the menfolk were doing. On the list of things I hated him and his family for, this was very close to the top. DC was too gentle for that abuse. Her fine, plump hands should have been, at the very least, tending to young ones in our quarters. She never would have been in the house learning sideways how to be a lady from tending to the ladies of the house. Her skin was too dark for that. Yet she deserved to be a lady, more so than those afforded that title. She should have been surrounded by finery, eating the remnants of delicious foods and relaxing in decadent baths that someone else drew and tended for her. She should have been pampered. I wanted more than anything to be her servant in that way. Tell me again how much you love me, Rue, she implored. Skirts splayed out around her on the ground in our special clearing where we sneaked to hide away from everyone and everything else. That big grassy circle in the woods was the closest we could ever come to a place of our own. We found it and claimed it, marking it as ours with our love. I quoted Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Sonnet 43, the first poem I'd learned to read because my first master's daughter, Emily, fell in love with a different man every week and walked around reciting the sonnet while I tended to her. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. Both Thesey and I could read well. She just loved the affectations I added to the words, a remnant from my life before that plantation. I had been groomed to be a lady's servant and gifted to Emily in the big house on the property where I was born. My slight frame and dusky complexion marked me acceptable for the task, even while my aversion to wearing dresses and petticoats did not exclude me. I enjoyed learning to read on those breezy afternoons when I stood fanning Emily in her bedroom, the window open and allowing more sounds than cooling inside. She spoke each word carefully, waiting patiently for me to repeat after her. And she sounded out the markings. She also traced the letters with her fingers, showing me how they worked together to produce the magic of sentences, paragraphs, and stories. I even enjoyed well enough the stolen kisses and caresses Emily imparted on me when night fell and we were to be asleep. She only instigated those gentle explorations when she was between suitors, but I welcomed them nonetheless. The fumbling molestations I escaped from the boys on the property were infrequent because I despised them and made diligent efforts to never subject myself to their handling. My duties did not take me outside the house, and when theirs brought them inside, I hid behind my mistress until they left. She allowed me to do so when she fully understood I did not feel anything of a sensual nature for the boys. I was not supposed to sleep in her quarters with her, but she begged her father until tears shone in her eyes, and she bit her heart-shaped lips until they bled. He acquiesced, as he always did where she was concerned. Night after night, she taught me a new way for us to please one another and gave me the opportunity to practice my lessons. I could not say I loved her so much as I was fascinated by the variety of sensations we could elicit from one another. I enjoyed her female body, and with her, I could accept my own, even if only grudgingly and in the dark cover of night. Emily's ploys to manipulate her father were not successful the night he followed her mother into her bedroom and they caught the two of us entangled in her bed sheets, bodies pressed fervently together. By the time we were alerted of their presence by her mother's loud, scandalized gasp, it was too late to recover. My old master yanked me by the hair and dragged me from her room. I spent that night on the porch, still naked, after he called me every revolting thing he could think of. You're not worthy to sleep with the other slaves because you're a lowly thing beneath even those cursed beings. I dared not argue with him or defend myself. My naked female body held me in agreement with him. The form that had momentarily brought me pleasure with Emily returned to my source of enduring shame. The next morning, he threw a ragged shirt and a pair of pants at me and watched as I put them on. He never removed his gaze from my naked body, shaking his head and whispering what a waste I was. He muttered variations of this exclamation throughout our wagon ride into town. Before the morning was over, I found myself sold to a plantation owner who lived 2 towns over. My new master allowed me to continue wearing pants. He also gave me one admonishment. If I did not learn to do field work to his satisfaction and make the yield of 3 slaves, he would breed me out with his male slaves to make up the difference in inventory. That threat of forced mating was all the impetus I required to get caught up to speed with the other field hands. Within a few months, I learned to use my slight frame to the best advantage and could pick faster than all but 2 of my fellow field workers. He had not known what to do with me as far as sleeping quarters went. I can't put you with the girls because you need to leave them alone and let them breed. I can't put you with the boys because you ain't a boy. I guess that means you bunk with old Odessa. That's how I came to reside with the plantation's root woman, Odessa. The master did not call her a root woman. He called her a midwife. I did not know if that was because he was unaware of the totality of her skills and knowledge, or if he simply disregarded them. I did not disregard anything about Odessa. It would have not only been disrespectful, but unwise for me to do so. On the first night I was deposited onto her porch, she looked me up and down and opened the door to allow me to enter. What's your name? She spat a pungent stream of tobacco-tainted spittle into a metal cup. Ruth. Mm-hmm. But what do you want to name yourself? I slowly looked up at her, the first time I had ever met the eyes of an elder. Her wizened orbs saw through me. She saw past my outward presentation and felt my spirit. I can name myself? The thought was preposterous. I'd never considered such out loud to anyone else. You can. The name they give you don't match you. Don't match your true self. She spat again. What do you want to name yourself? With my brain fogged over in possibilities, I uttered the name I called myself inside my head. I like Rue. Her wrinkled face split into a wide, toothless grin. Then Rue you are. Come on, Rue, let's make you a bed. There was no magical epiphany wherein I suddenly felt free. How could I truly be autonomous when only one of the ties binding me had been loosed? Nonetheless, by the time DC came to the homestead, I was completely Rue, fully vested in a personhood that could then at least dream of true freedom. I introduced myself as such when she stumbled into the field, viciously prodded by the master's eldest son, David. Get your barren ass out in the field with the other men folk. He shoved her one last time and left her fallen in the dirt close to us. I and one of the men ran to help her up. She straightened her skirts and faced me. What they call you? I'm Rue. I'm called DC. How about you show me what I got to do out here, Rue? Despite her previous abuse, she smiled at me. I would never dream of anything but her. A few weeks later, I was awakened from such a dream by light tapping at the cabin window. I was unable to remove myself completely from the bonds of slumber to investigate before Odessa spoke quietly. She came after you because she's sweet on you too. Go visit with her for a spell. Odessa's ways were no longer surprising to me. I accepted that she knew things none of the rest of us did, and I didn't question how or why. I observed her whenever I could, and she trusted me to help her sometimes. I simply did as she instructed. When I finally faced DC underneath the full moon, she grabbed my hand. Come on, sleepyhead. I got something to show you. Her whispered words fluttered over my head and caressed my ears. I would do anything she asked. Odessa's cabin lay at the edge of the woods so she could easily gather the herbs she needed. It did not take long for DC to lead me to a clearing deeper inside the foliage than I had ever explored. Ain't it beautiful? DC exclaimed as soon as we were too far away from the cabins and big house for anyone to hear or see us. She spun around in a circle, bathed in the soft light of the moon. My breath caught in my chest as I watched her, wishing she could always be this free, that we could taste freedom together. I allowed her to spin me too, until we collapsed onto each other amidst the grass blades in a fit of giggles and drunken, heady exhilaration. I rolled towards her and caressed her face. You are beautiful. I kissed her, unable to remember the lessons Emily had taught me. I did not need to be taught how to love DC by anyone other than herself. She was an eager teacher and I, her eager pupil. Our clearing became our true home, the place where we spun dreams and loved each other as freely as we possibly could. Every time we would get away unseen, we ran away to our natural home. Do you think we'll ever be free? DC asked one night as we languished in the aftermath of our lovemaking. I hope so. I want to marry you, build a life with you, maybe try farming. I love the trees here. Can we have lots and lots of trees on our farm? We can have anything you want, my beloved. Even the empty promises felt good to make. I wanted DC to be happy. We both knew we could never be married as long as we were enslaved on the plantation. Massa would never allow it because no additional inventory could be produced from our union. And although DC could not be bred because of a childhood injury that had left her unable to have children, I still lived under his looming threat to breed me. She grabbed my hand. I would love a lot of trees. Raucous laughter and yelling startled us. We never encountered any other people that deeply into the woods, so we suspected a large animal. DC picked up a large stick, and I wrapped my hands around two big rocks. What emerged from the woods was entirely animalistic, but human. See, I told y'all they was going to be here. David led a group of his brothers and friends toward us. I seen them right out here the other night. They surrounded us and began to grab and attack us. DC and I were outnumbered 2-8. We had no chance of beating them away, but we would not consider giving in without all the fight we had. Soon I was imprisoned by 5 of them who held and punched me. DC lay prone on the ground with the other 3 holding her. Since you want to play with sticks and need to know what a real man feels like anyway, how would you like a taste of this? Her pain pierced my soul and I fought harder. One of our captors punched me in the stomach so hard I could not catch my breath for long moments. Don't hit that one in the stomach. We got to show her she ain't no man like she thinks she is. Paul ain't going to appreciate it if we make her barren too. Well, this one ain't having no babies anyway, so we can do what we want with her. They abused my beloved DC over and over again until her precious blood spilled over our clearing. I cursed them the entire time until my voice diminished to a rasp. I held her gaze and watched the light slowly leave her eyes. The more they dimmed, the more empowered I felt. She had long ago given me her heart and body. She was then giving me her soul. I had watched Odessa perform life-giving rituals numerous times for sickly infants and the other slaves she healed. I knew all the words and ancestors to call upon. She'd often warned me against using the opposite of these incantations to do harm to others, lest I bring the same harm back to myself. She had never said anything about me not doing the harming myself. I used the part of her being DC had given me to call upon the entities who would avenge us, trading our lives for the power of vengeance. The men stopped their assault on DC, who was then unmoving and provided no more fight. They all turned their attention to me, ignoring my fervent chanting. Now let's break this one in. I got first. David unbuckled his pants and threw me to the ground. The others pried my legs apart so he could rip my pants from my body. He positioned himself to enter me and thrust his pelvis forward. I never felt his assault. The blood ran from his face and he screamed in agony. David rolled off me and grasped at his penis, hands coming away blooded. Large shards of wood stuck out from his member, one severing it to where it was only held by a shred of skin and tissue. My legs stretched, covered in hard, scaly bark. I felt protrusions jut from my arms and legs, stabbing at my captors and piercing them until they released me. I stood on my newly transformed limbs and reached out with the sharp appendages, slicing the throat of one of the men and shredding the torso of another. I raised my heavily barked leg and brought the sharp end down on David's head, ramming it into him until all that was left was bloody pulp. None of the men escaped untouched. 4 were left barely alive at the end of my onslaught, and through eyes grown heavy with bark and wood, I watched the clearing reject their offering of tainted blood and irredeemable souls. The ones who could still walk or crawl took their fallen brethren back into the woods, and the spirits and life essence of the dead swirled around them on their way to hell. Those men would not last the night before they joined them. It was difficult for me to move as I continued to grow and my body became heavier and heavier. I forced myself to go where DC lay in our purified clearing. I would not perform any of the life-giving rituals I'd learned. She would not have wanted that. Death was the only way she would ever experience freedom. It was the only way I would as well. We had to die in this world and awaken to another. Her soul danced inside me, and I picked up her corpse and held her. Continuously sprouting branches broke through her skin, tethering her corporal existence to mine. Once she was entwined fully into my trunk, my feet rooted right in the middle of our space. DC continues to feed my body and soul with hers. My growth is nourished by her flesh and bones. My eternal spirit by the final achievement of our long-sought elusive freedom. I would share eternity with my beloved. I recite poetry to her through my full branches, leaves murmuring with every breeze, accompanied by the singing of the birds. I will only love you better after death. Thank you.
It was absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I don't really think I can do any commentary on that. I think it speaks for itself, and yeah. Folks in the chat are saying things like intense and powerful, and that they love it. I cannot disagree with any. That was very strong. Thank you. Well, everyone, that was R.J. Joseph with a story that is in her collection, Hell Hath No Sorrow, Like a Woman Haunted. Every week is different. Every story hour is different. And next week, we have more of a science fiction fantasy event. Next week, our readers are Kemi Ashingiwa and Madeline E. Robbins. I recommend checking storyhour2020.com, day of the reading, for any changes, any announcements. Also a good place to learn about upcoming authors. And you can watch any programs you may have missed by going to the recordings page and clicking through. A few of the older ones are still on Facebook, but more and more of them are on YouTube now, because that's our new home. Thank you so much, Eric Raglin and R.J. Joseph, for showing us beauty and horror and things we need to address in our society and in history. I'm going to be thinking about this one for a long time. Thank you to my co-host, Daniel Marcus, without whom we would not have 5 years of these stories read by their authors, which is just riches beyond imagining. And all of you who are here right now in the Zoom, all of you watching on the YouTube stream or watching some point in the future, who knows when, thank you for joining us in this story hour. Good night.